It is my pleasure to welcome you to this edition of the news in English here on Rwanda Television. My name is Serge Nhore. We'll start with the headlines. Rwanda and the DRC have signed a declaration of principles for peace. The First Lady of Rwanda, Excellency Jeannette Kagame, has reminded the nation of the importance of commemorating the victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. And on the international scene, a laboratory in Canada is trying to build a pathway for a new energy solution through nuclear fusion. Now the details. I hope you had a great week. Let's begin with our top story. Rwanda and the DRC have signed a declaration of Principles for Peace. The declaration that has been facilitated by the United States is looking to take tangible steps towards addressing long-standing issues that have continued to plague the region. And Rwanda's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation reiterated this. Take a look.
Thank you. Good afternoon. On behalf of President Paul Kagame and the government of Rwanda, I want to start by thanking President Donald Trump for enabling a real change in the conversation on how to resolve the situation in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, leading to the signing of the Declaration of Principles today. I thank Secretary Marco Rubio and the United States government for hosting us, and I commend the positive role played by Senior Advisor Masad Boulos and his team and other officials in the significant progress achieved thus far. Today, we are talking about the real issues, the root causes that must be addressed to achieve a lasting peace in our region. Those include, first and foremost, security, as well as the return of refugees. In addition, and very importantly, we are discussing how to build new regional economic value chains that link our countries, including with American private sector investment. Our goal is a secure region, free of violent ethnic extremism, which is well governed. Working together, our region can be an engine of prosperity for all our peoples, and indeed Africa as a whole. The Declaration of Principles opens the door to a definitive peace agreement, giving fresh impetus to ongoing efforts of the Africa-led process under the East African Community and Southern African Development Community, as well as the Doha track, facilitated by the State of Qatar, where we have seen important breakthroughs in recent days. Our common aim is to conclude a comprehensive peace agreement as soon as possible. But there are no shortcuts or quick fixes, and we have to do the hard work to get it done right, once and for all. Rwanda is committed, and we are ready to continue working together with all the partners in of this initiative. I thank you all.
On her part, the DRC's Minister of Foreign Affairs expressed the commitment of her government to see peace return to the eastern part of Congo.
Today marks not an end but a beginning, a necessary step towards peace taken with resolve and purpose. This moment carries particular weight for the Democratic Republic of the Congo. In Goma, in Bukavu, and beyond, the reality of displacement, insecurity and hardship continues. For us, the urgency of this initiative is not theoretical, it is human. We are clear in the Great Lakes region, peace must come first, followed by the rebuilding of trust, and then, only when conditions are right, the careful reopening of a path to meaningful bilateral cooperation. Too many past efforts have failed because sequencing was ignored and accountability postponed. Peace and development cannot rely only on good intentions. They must be built on responsibility, clear commitments, measurable timelines and consequences for non-compliance. This is the only way to restore credibility, not just among states, but with the people who are waiting for peace to become real. The signature of today's Declaration of Principles heralds renewed hope. It reflects the U.S. resolve to complement and support regional and international efforts. This initiative brings accountability and draws the hard lessons from past efforts that have failed to materialize.
Rwanda's government spokesperson has commented on this latest development, and she had this to say, I quote, "Today's signing of the Declaration of Principles for Peace by the foreign ministers of Rwanda and the DRC, hosted by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, represents a notable change in the conversation about resolving the situation in the eastern DRC in a sustainable way. There are no shortcuts, and all parties will have to do the hard work to get this done right. Rwanda looks forward to the comprehensive peace agreement that will cover all the important issues, including security, governance, and regional economic integration initiatives." End of quote. Now, moving on to other matters, as we noted in the headlines, the First Lady of Rwanda, Her Excellency Jeannette Kagame, has reminded the nation that commemorating the victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi is a way of restoring dignity to those who were killed simply for who they were, and a declaration that Rwanda has risen again. She made the remarks during the Igihango Churungano Youth Forum, an event that brings together young people and leaders from various sectors across the country to remember the youth who were killed during the genocide against the Tutsi here in Rwanda in 1994. The First Lady urged the youth today to align themselves with the choices made by the country's leadership, choices centered on unity, accountability, and long-term vision. Staying with commemoration matters, the Minister of Public Service and Labour, Ambassador Christine Richinga, has called on public servants to carry out their duties with a deep sense of responsibility towards every Rwandan, emphasizing the importance of avoiding any form of discrimination that could lead to divisions like those that resulted in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. She made the remarks during the 31st commemoration event honoring employees of 3 former ministries, being the Ministry of Labour and Social Welfare, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and the Ministry of Public Service, who were killed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. The event took place at the former offices of these ministries and began with the laying of the wreaths at a memorial site for victims of the genocide against the Tutsi. During the ceremony, a testimony was given in which the survivor revealed that her parent was betrayed by colleagues and killed. The minister denounced the cowardice of some government employees who took part in the genocide back in 1994 and urged current officials to resist any actions that could plague the country back, that could plunge the country back into darkness. So far, 11 employees of the former Ministry of Labour and Social Welfare, Ministro, and from the former Ministry of Public Service, Minifop, and 7 from the former Ministry of Internal Affairs, Mininter, have been identified as victims of the genocide against the Tutsi. Now to health matters, and the Ministry of Health has revealed that malaria cases in Rwanda have decreased by 90% over the past 5 years. However, the disease saw a resurgence last year with 800,000 people infected and 80 deaths reported. This was highlighted today, Friday, as Rwanda joined the rest of the world in marking World Malaria Day. The national event took place in Gasabo district, which currently records the highest number of malaria cases in the country. In March alone, 13 people in Gasabo tested positive for the disease. Now, Rwanda's entrepreneurs have been urged to tap into the country's capital market, being reminded that such avenues are not just for large corporations and are open to any enterprise aiming to raise capital, attract investors, and expand across borders. William Evans Mutabazi with the details.
Small and medium-sized enterprises looking to scale have been encouraged to leverage the power of capital markets to raise funding and to attract investors.
We targeted companies that we think they have potential, whom we've been discussing some of them, to see, to show them how the clinic works, how they can be able to use the capital market ecosystem to raise long-term financing for their business.
Potential businesses and SMEs in Rwanda can be supported to be investor ready through a strategically established program, and this is how.
As we stand, we are focusing on some project we have for SMEs. It's called the Capital Market Investment Clinic. The Capital Market Investment Clinic is a project we created in a few years back to support small and medium enterprises and other corporates to be investor ready. So we try to address the gaps they have in this project, in this clinic, using our ecosystem, service providers, different ones, so that these companies can be supported to get to a point where we put a stamp of approval to say they can raise money, they can approach investors, or investors can approach them to invest in their businesses.
Marie Grain Millers, a food processing company, became the first SME to debut on the Rwanda Stock Exchange after participating in the exchange's investment clinic.
When you join the investment clinic, you actually discover, you realize you have a lot of gaps. And when you go to the next step, joining the capital market, you have enough confidence and trust. You feel confident to go look for investors. From our own experience, deciding, it's a paradigm shift, deciding to shift from how you conduct business basically and how you are required to conduct business by the capital market standards. That's the main difference. For example, in my entire career, I've never felt so necessary to file our financial statements to the RDB and to the public before. Today, it's not an option, it's a requirement. So you shift from how you conduct business and you are graduated to the corporate level.
The previous two phases of the Capital Market Investment Clinic involved over 40 businesses, but only 4 met the eligibility criteria to receive financing through market-listed debt securities. William Evans, RwandaTV News.
turakwibutsa ko buri sosiyete isabwa n'itegeko kubika ibitabo bya sosiyete ndetse no gushyikiriza RDB amakuru abikubiyemo. Ibyo bitabo birimo igitabo cy'abanyamigabane, icy'abagenewe inyungu ku migabane, inyandiko y'amakuru ya sosiyete, ibaruramari ngarukamwaka n'izindi. Gutanga amakuru y'ugenewe inyungu ku migabane wanyura kuri bo.rdb.rw, naho gutanga izindi nyandiko ukanyura kuri org.rdb.rw.
Nyiri muto arababwiraga data bati ntabwo wagira umukamo mwinshi utunze inka imwe, ariko nigeze acika intege. Mama akinjira mu bucuruzi hari abamubwiraga bati ntabwo watera imbere udakorera mu iduka rigezweho, ariko ntibyamusubije inyuma, yakoranaga umwete. Njya muri kaminuza hari abanshidikanyagaho bavuga ko nashobora kaminuza naturuka mu muryango wifashije, ariko byarangiye nanize amateka mashya. Igihe cyo gutera ishema umuryango wanjye kigeze, bamwe bakomeje kumbwira bati ntabwo watera umuryango wawe ibyishimo n'ishema, ariko narabishoboye. Hari abakekaga ko nasigira umurage ukomeye abankomokaho, ariko ubu mfite uruganda rutunganya amata. Banki ya Kigali yabaye umufatanyabikorwa wanjye mu rugendo rwose, inzozi zanjye ziba impamo. Bigereho.
Ngiye kukubarira 1 2 3 itugwamo. So 1 2 3 gwamo. One bro.
Kuwa mbere kanda akanyenyeri 3 kane 5 akanyenyeri 2 urwego maze nawe ugwemo.
Ndanezero umunezero nsaba umutima, ndakora akazi kanjye ndacatinga data ntizishira enda nawe gwamo
wikwisondeka.
Welcome back, and now news from elsewhere around the world. In a laboratory south of Montreal in Canada, scientists are busy trying to build a pathway for a new energy solution. Fuse is a startup on a difficult mission, that is to commercialize nuclear fusion. Fusion is the process that occurs naturally in the sun. When two atomic nuclei combine, they release energy. Here on Earth, scientists have been trying to recreate that for almost a century, but now, in the midst of trade wars and with our environment high in the balance, the race is on. BBC has the details.
In a laboratory south of Montreal, Canada, scientists are busy trying to build the pathway for a new energy solution. Fuse is a startup on an incredibly tricky mission to commercialize nuclear fusion, and we've been granted exclusive access.
Right here is our assembly area.
Fusion is a process that occurs naturally inside the sun, and it's what powers it. When two atomic nuclei combine, they release energy. Here on Earth, scientists have been trying to recreate that for almost a century, but now, in the midst of trade wars and with our environment hanging in the balance, the race is on.
Unlocking fusion power is going to be technology that, will propel humanity and unlock civilization prosperity for centuries.
The promise? Virtually limitless and more or less clean energy. For the nation that cracks it, energy independence and a windfall of riches.
When you think about SpaceX, they lowered the dollar per kilogram to orbit and increasing the reusability of rockets so they can launch much more frequently. And by doing that, they've unlocked essentially space and made that way more accessible. But for the nuclear industry, this has not happened. So what we're focused on is how do we decrease the cost per radiation and how do we make radiation much more available.
They've built Titan, a pulsed power driver capable of producing lightning in a bottle, the equivalent of 800 strikes at once. Inside there are 476 capacitors and 238 custom-made switches. Fahid was once one of Iran's top nuclear physicists and is now technical lead here.
Assembling 40,000 parts is not easy. You miss one part, you're going to lose the project, you're going to fail the project. Titan is the most challengeable project I've ever had. I love it.
And this is Titan.
Oh, check that out.
Yeah, it's a 1 terawatt. The key innovation here is how do you trigger 238 of those bricks within less than 2 nanosecond delay or jitter between them. And that's kind of our core technology, is being able to build that triggering system.
What's holding you back?
Well, everything is a challenge, right? At first we built the machine, there's no playbook. We're the first to have built it.
May I ask, what age are you?
Yeah, I'm 24, I turn 25 next month.
How have you done this?
Yeah, so I'm still figuring it out, how to do it. Essentially growing up, my father was a nuclear physicist. That kind of spurred my passion for understanding how the universe works, and I really wanted to go see it for myself. How can I use my time in the most effective way? And I thought that pursuing fusion as a startup is the fastest and more intellectually honest way to make progress.
Whilst JC may not have decades of experience under his belt, he's convinced some serious industry heavyweights.
I spent 30 years at Los Alamos National Laboratory, where I had the privilege of working on national security programs.
So what attracted you to Fuse?
Clean, abundant energy production that not only supports our economy, but it also supports national security, defense capabilities, and the like.
This is our machine shop, so we're able to rapidly prototype or build components. 75% of the cost of Titan is in 3 components, and now we built 2 of them in-house for a fraction of the cost and in a couple of days of lead time instead of months, and in some cases almost a year. So here's the Titan control room. Live feedback on voltage, charge voltage, the checklist, the air delivery system pressure, all of them are software controlled.
Despite efforts here, the rollout of nuclear fusion as a practical solution could still be decades away, according to experts who cite significant scientific and engineering challenges needing to be overcome. But that isn't deterring Fahid.
Are you making history here? We have already made it, so we keep doing that.
And they need to, fast. Billions of dollars are being poured into cracking fusion globally, and competition is close by. Sam Altman-backed Helion just secured $400 million odd for its efforts in its latest funding round. Several countries around the world are also gearing up. China's reactor, dubbed the Artificial Sun, is making massive strides. And in the UK, the Atomic Energy Authority aims to open the world's first fusion power plant by 2040.
Energy security is national security.
And we're very conscious to go all the way to ensure that, this technology stays in the right hands.
Today, they're firing their latest model.
So we'll start ramping up the voltage and testing out how will the machine, perform. We'll see what happens.
They're going through the final checklist preparations before they fire up Titan. My hands are getting sweaty. Don't know why I'm getting nervous.
3, 2, 1. Break.
Will we solve it or not? To be determined. Are we going to make a large contribution in solving this large, monumental problem? Yes, we're already doing so.
We've come to the end of this edition of the News in English. Before we go, however, let us again take a look at the headlines. Rwanda and the DRC have signed a declaration of principles for peace. The First Lady of Rwanda has reminded the nation of the importance of commemorating the victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. And as we just saw, a laboratory in Canada is trying to build a pathway for a new energy solution through nuclear fusion. Like I said at the beginning of the news, I hope you had a great week, and now I'm telling you that I hope you have a great weekend. You will be joined with William Evans Mutawazi for the editions then, so please don't miss that. I'll see you again next week. Goodbye.